Show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, maybe save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world that we live in, because it is crazy.
It is crazy.
So today I'm here with Michael. Michael works for American Van Lines, and he helps people make that move and try to make that move a little easier.
During the stressful times,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But before we get kind of into that, let's just talk about like what's going on in the market, real estate. So let me ask you, from your perspective, do you think it's busy or it's not busy?
So right now is actually, we're coming into the busiest time of the year, the summertime, May through June, July, August. We call it peak season in our industry. All the kids are coming out of school, spring break's coming up, people are going to make their transitions and their moves during this time.
Right.
So it's been absolutely swamped.
Damn kids make them make
Yeah,
these
I know,
decisions, right? I mean,
They get out of school and everyone has got to move. That's when
Right.
they got to move. So right now it's been absolutely, swamped.
so how are you at the beginning of the year, January?
So January, February, it's a lot slower. We call it non-peak season. You get better rates with your moving companies.
Oh,
You're not
interesting.
being charged as much, just because when you're dealing with a very large national company like us as American Van Lines, we have a reputation. We offer, a form of service to our clients. As we get busier, we have these things called blockout dates, where we can't service moves through those dates because we're so swamped.
Interesting.
So if you actually have the flexibility to move February, January,
Do it.
April, you want
What
to
would be
kind
the
of
price
do it.
difference, though? Just to kind of give our audience an idea. Like, if I move in January versus moving, let's pick,
If you do, let's say May or
Okay, do
June,
May
something like
versus
that, right in
January.
the middle of the summer, right? Versus January, you're going to be looking at, depending on the size of the move, you could be looking at anywhere between $2,000 to a $5,000 price difference.
oh, wow.
Just because it does get so busy that we have so little availability that if you're going to try and move in May, you have to really make sure that you're going to be moving, that you're going to have your stuff ready to go, because, we're not going to wait around for you at that time.
Is American Van Lines a franchise like RE/MAX is?
So no, we own everything.
So are you in other states?
We are in other states. We have locations in Texas, California, North Carolina, and then Florida.
And
we
so
own
basically there's
everything there.
salespeople in those locations.
Exactly. So you could
Because you're
call
their
us
sales guy, right?
Exactly. So I run the entire Florida division.
Okay.
And then we have a Texas location where we have another representative that will run the Texas location.
So if I live, though, in Ave Maria, right? You're gonna
I would be your guy.
You're going to come there?
So I have representatives that work directly underneath me.
Okay.
So we service all of Florida. I run the entire South Florida division, and then we have other representatives that, will come out and actually
Do the look.
do the walkthrough.
Okay, so I get lucky to get you.
You
in
get lucky to
Broward.
get me because you're in Broward, West Palm,
Okay.
and then Miami-Dade has me, and then we have other guys that do the northern Florida areas.
So would you say that you're very competitive?
We're extremely competitive. We make sure that we even offer a price match system where we price match other competitors.
Oh, so if it's more
to
money,
be-
you'll match their higher price.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding.
But if you come in and you get a competitor and they're less than us, and we're comparing apples to apples, we will do a price match for you. And then we'll take an additional, 5% off of that quote.
Oh,
just
wow.
to make sure that we're competitive.
So you get the deal.
Exactly.
Oh, so, okay, wait, so.
But there's other things that involve getting the deal. We offer different services than other companies. We have maid services. A lot of companies don't
Oh, yeah?
even
How much
offer
is that?
So it
I'm just
actually,
curious.
it goes
I'm
by an
asking.
hourly rate. So
Okay.
what happens is, when you,
When
move,
you're done leaving, there's all
yeah,
these tumbleweed.
exactly. And you got to do your walkthrough the next day or whatever the case may be. The buyers that are coming in and buying the property, they want to make sure that.
I mean, even I'm learning stuff
exactly.
right now.
And you want to make sure that property is nice and clean.
And I don't want to stay behind and do it.
Exactly. American Van Lines offers a cleaning maid service. It's $75 an hour. Typically, it takes about 2.5 hours to clean an entire property, depending on, how large the home is. And then we'll come in and we'll do a full maid service. So we'll do dusting of baseboards, we'll do waxing of the floors, we'll wipe down the kitchen, everything from top to bottom.
Wow, okay.
So that's a little bit different. A lot of companies don't offer those services.
Do you tell people that? Because I don't think
Absolutely.
you've told that to some of my customers.
So yeah, we do 100%, but a lot of customers already have it lined up prior to us coming out there. But if they don't, that's another thing that we offer. It's
Okay.
just another service on top of all the other
That's awesome.
services that
So
we
what
offer.
other services do you offer that I don't know about?
So we do crating, custom wood crating. I know we talked about it a little bit. When you have
But
high
don't most
valued-
people do that?
Some people do it. A lot of people don't do it just because they try and stay away from high valued items. Where if you're loading something of
I have a
extreme value.
I have a baby grand piano. So that would
Exactly.
be-
So a lot of people don't, touch baby grand pianos. We actually have our certification to move them. We come in, we tie down the keys, we remove the legs, we put it on a piano board. We do all that. Whereas someone who doesn't have those certifications will look at that baby grand piano and be like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do anything to it. I want to leave it alone. You're going to have to move it yourself, or you're going to have to find a different alternative. That's something that we offer to our clients as well. Same thing for grandfather clocks. We'll do all the disassembly, all the reassembly of all grandfather clocks with the pendulums. We'll put them back up. We'll make sure everything is tuned properly, everything is working. And then, exactly, you could do everything through us. You don't have to outsource other, services. You can do it all through us directly.
So you guys will also unpack and
Absolutely.
organize it?
So we'll do all unpacking. We'll
I'm
put
curious, what does that
everything-
cost?
So it's all based off of a box count perspective. So depending on how many boxes we actually had to pack for the actual property, we will do an unpack. So we'll do the entire unpacking, and then if you want us to do the actual organization of everything, you want everything in the cubbies a proper way, you want everything put into your drawers so you don't even have to do anything. You basically are moving right into your house, move in ready.
We got some
everything is
people
set
like
up.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's $125 an hour for 3 people though. So we send 3 people out. It's $125 an hour.
That's not bad for 3 people.
No, not at all. And then we do it as an hourly rate. The reason why we do it is that way instead of like a fixed rate is because depending on the customer, we might put something in the cabinet and you may say, oh no, I don't want it in that cabinet, I want it in this cabinet. Or oh no, I don't want it in this cabinet, I want it in that cabinet. But think about it, if you are unpacking your house, let's say it takes 5 hours for 3 people to unpack your house. You're going to spend, $100 or $550 to get everything put back into the house, put back into the cubbies, everything put back into the dressers,
Right, you think
the
it's only a few
drawers.
hours?
It's only going to take a few hours, depending
Really?
on how many boxes you have, as I said, depending on how big your house is, how many, Laura over here has the big mansion.
No, I don't have that, but the clothes thing is a
exactly,
nightmare.
all the clothes. So it all depends on how many boxes you have.
Okay. That is like really good to know because, one of the things that I get from people, especially older people, they feel overwhelmed.
Coming up to
with-
their move, absolutely.
Right. And then they have to unpack it and put it away. So I think that, that is something great to offer people. I mean, I think it takes a little bit more than what you're saying, like $550. I'm thinking it's got to take.
Well, it depends. As I said, that's why it depends on how much stuff you're actually unpacking. I mean, if you're unpacking anywhere between
that sounds like
50
a
to 70
two-bedroom condo to me.
If you're unpacking anywhere between like 50 to 75 boxes, that's typically what it is to put everything away.
Really?
Yeah, but if you are unpacking anything beyond that, 100
You know,
to
it would take me
200
probably
plus.
like a year to unpack 50 to 75
We have
boxes.
customers that takes 5,
And they're ready
6,
to move
7
again, right?
months. Yeah, exactly. And they still are packed up, and then they call us back, and we're like, okay, we're moving from here to here, and they have all their boxes packed from their first move. So there are people.
Yeah,
that,
we moved in 1989 to here, and my mom still has boxes still not unpacked.
Exactly.
Sitting at like the front door. So, okay, I'm like, I
There's
didn't
a
know
lot
some
of
of this.
yeah, there's a
what
lot of
else am I
things out there.
missing? What else am I? You know what?
So-
Let's go to commercial break, and then we're going to come back. You're going to tell me more because I'm actually excited now. I did not know these things. So we're going to go to commercial break, check out our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations, ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at laurasell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. So today we're talking with Michael from American Van Lines, and we're talking about what services they offer, what makes them stand out from everyone else. And I'm already hearing things that I have never heard before. I had no idea, and I'm a realtor, so shame on you, Michael.
I know, right?
Shame on you, Michael, that I'm hearing that you help to clean afterwards. And it doesn't sound very expensive, and it sounds like people are always asking me, oh, who can I call? Or, and I would imagine people, I think the only scary part for me, and I'm, listen, it's nothing against you or your company, but I always worry people are going to try to charge me more rather than just give me a flat fee and say it's going to be X, right? So you come back later on and say, oh, it was 5 hours. And, the one thing I have to say is people are scared of moving companies.
Absolutely.
So how do you recommend for them to feel more comfortable?
So reputation is a huge thing.
Okay.
Right?
So if I go to
in
your
the
Google
industry.
page.
Exactly. So, when you're researching moving companies in general, for us, we make sure our reputation is up there. That's got to be the number one thing when it comes to customer service, comes to anything. So I always recommend going to Google. That's a great place to look just because there are a lot of companies out there that you'll see the mom and pop small companies that have 5-star reviews, but it looks like they don't do a lot of work. And the thing is, they pay for their Google reviews or they're paying
It will
for,
tell you that, though.
Yeah.
You could see that. People, and
Exactly.
I tell people, when you find me, it's organic.
Exactly. And that's
And
what
you want more
separates
reviews,
us.
yeah.
Is all our reviews are organic. There are some bad reviews, you see them, but
People are
compared
gonna
to-
never be happy with everybody.
Exactly, right? But compared to the amount of reviews that are on there compared to the good versus the bad, you can
Right.
see a giant discrepancy between the two.
And you'll obviously respond to the bad
Exactly.
with whatever happened.
And you see that. So you'll see all the bad, the bad reviews that are on there have responses to them, and then they get resolved, or there's a solution found
Listen,
for
not
that
everything's
customer.
ever going to always be able to be resolved. There's
Exactly.
going to be angry people, unhappy people.
And especially in this industry, it happens, right?
And the
There's-
only people that understand that are people that are in an industry that really, calls for that.
Exactly,
You know?
and I'm sure, in the real estate industry, it happens. There's going to be
does.
someone that's just not going to be happy, and there's no way you're going to be able to make them happy. You could give them the world, or you can just say the world to them, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're going to leave that review and try and make you look bad or make you look dirty or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, of course.
And it just happens.
Yeah.
But so a good place for when you're looking for a company or you're looking to, look for what you need to look for is, I always say Google. You want to make sure they're organic. Another one is the DOT, Department of Transportation, has a website, okay? It's called Safer Web, SAFERWEB, Safer Web. And then you can actually see what companies have DOT complaints, what companies don't have DOT complaints. And those are government complaints. So you really want to make sure that you don't have a lot of those complaints, because those are big issues if you have a lot of those complaints.
So if I was to recommend you, then this would be something that I would say to my clients, hey, listen, if you don't consider Michael, before hiring anyone else,
look at this.
Please look at this
Exactly.
anyway.
Exactly.
That way,
and they can't
I don't know
hide
that
it.
people know that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't know that. I walk into a home and I'm doing a walkthrough, and they tell me they have a company or another competitor, and they're giving them or promising them the moon, and I say, okay, well, let's take a look at their reviews. They might have Google reviews, but let's take a look at their DOT reviews, their complaints.
Okay.
And then you pull back the curtains and you can see, okay, this company has a lot of issues, and you can actually break down what the issues are. Oh, it may be they show up on move date and their price goes up $3,000, or they have a lot of claims where a lot of stuff is broken. You can see all that.
And what about liability to not having licensed people, or I should say people that are under your insurance policy, right? I didn't go pick them up at Home Depot in the morning as laborers, day laborers.
All our guys, they're all W-2 employees. So they're all vetted through us. They're all drug tested. They're all background checked by us. They all work for the company directly. Whereas if you're dealing with, we call them broker companies in the industry. You see that in the DOT website. They specifically get day labor to come out and, load
How do we
their
know
stuff.
who has day laborers, who has...
Well, it's typically someone who's a broker company who doesn't own any trucks, who don't own any drivers. They don't have any drivers on their DOT application or anything like that.
But doesn't
so that means
like
they're
Amazon
contracted
not
out.
own the trucks, but like they have drivers?
They're all W-2 employees, though. So they're under their DOT. You can see how many drivers that company has. So like when you look up Amazon, it may say they have 2,000 drivers but 0 trucks, right? Because they're all W-2 employees. If you look up a broker company, it may say they have 0 trucks and 0 drivers. That means they're all contractors, and they're going to sub out the work, and then they can kind of just hire help as they need.
Yeah, I actually saw people driving their own car for Amazon. I was like, that was weird.
Yeah, it happens all the time nowadays. Amazon, all the drivers, they come in their own cars now, and they just drop off the package, and that's it. It's very different now.
It's very scary, actually. Yeah.
Because you don't know who's going to come up to your house, or you don't know. It's a lot different.
Yeah. So, I'm sure it's a Halloween costume now, too. What else do I not know, Michael? Well, before we do that, before you tell me any more that I don't know, tell our audience, how do they get a hold of you if they are looking to get a quote?
So if you're going to get a quote from us, you want to call either my direct cell phone, which is going to be 954-647-8301. If you can't get a hold of me directly, you can call the office at 954-630-0316. And then you can request me, okay?
Michael.
Exactly.
His
You just
last
say
name
Michael
is
with Laura
blah, 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 blah.
Sanders. You could just say Laura Sanders with Michael, and then they'll forward you over to me. And then you also get a referral discount as well.
Oh.
So when you call in that way, you'd get a referral discount as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know you're talking about that, but if they are in another state and they just happen to hear us, right? Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, like my family in Kentucky, they always listen to this.
Yeah.
So if somebody there wants, they can still call you.
Absolutely.
And you can coordinate with
Exactly.
them and they still can get that same discount.
Exactly. And then we actually have a company that we work with that will go out across all 48 states that we cover. So we cover, the only 2 states we don't cover are Alaska and Hawaii for obvious reasons. But we'll send someone out to your property. So we'll actually send someone out to your property, and they will give us all the information once they've done the walkthrough with you. They'll give us all the information, and then we could put together a quote for you. And
You don't sub out planes to go to Hawaii?
No, we don't. But what we can do is we'll send someone out. They'll do a walkthrough with you, just like if I was there with you doing a walkthrough. They'll give us all that information. We'll collect it, and then we'll be able to call you and give you a binding price, because that's a big thing. We got to make sure that price is binding, not to exceed. So when we give you that price, that's what the price of the move is going to be. It's not to be adjusted.
Okay.
Okay.
And if you are thinking about moving or buying something, even if it's investment, so you're not thinking about moving, or you happen to be in another state and you need a top agent, like you need that top dog. So I found out I'm number 10 in the United States. I was a little shocked, yeah. And as a result of that, you know, I interact with agents all over the United States. I'm actually starting to think about maybe start getting some of those agents in different states to come talk, and let's see what's going on in each state. Like,
Exactly,
you
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
Is it a good Airbnb state? Is it a good place to just have a second home? I mean, obviously anywhere is a good place to have a second home, right?
It's another investment property.
But I don't know. I think a second home's great here. So if you need to get a hold of me, first, my phone number is 954-650-0827, and my webpage is lauracell.com, and that is how you can also get online, and you can reach out to me, request me to call you back, and we can definitely help you in any way. I do certified home staging. I will definitely connect you to the right professionals. I can make sure that you avoid inspection pitfalls. So
you do it all, top
I do
to
it,
bottom.
and I'm not telling you everything I do because, you know, I mean,
That's a long list.
it's a long list of things that I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. Got my finger, I have the pulse on real estate. So that's why.
24/7.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, you're saying it's busy, right? But you've had busier years. Forget about
Of
COVID.
course.
Let's forget about COVID.
Yeah, I mean, that was just...
that was an anomaly.
Yeah, it will never happen again.
Yeah.
But
when we talk about, you know, moving and the real estate industry, like interest rates are kind of just bopping around in between like 6 3/4 to 7, could be 6.6. Anyway, a lot of crazy things going on. So
Absolutely. And then hopefully with that in March, we see a rate cut or something like that. We'll see.
yeah,
We'll see where we are.
yeah, because we need to sell some more real estate.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. So I guess, you know, other than that, anything else, because we're running out of time, but I want to know anything else that you have not told me, because I'm a little disappointed in you right now, Michael. You did not tell me all these things.
You're always disappointed in me. You see, you're like one of my clients I can't always make happy.
No, I'm like your mother. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just shocked. I didn't know you guys would unpack.
Yep, we'll do everything from top to bottom.
Everything from top to bottom.
Okay.
Okay, you'll unpack. You'll clean.
We'll
You can
clean.
even do a cleaning before they move in. Can you
Yes,
send
we can. Absolutely.
even if it's in another state? Like you have
Absolutely.
people that are able to do
Yep,
that.
we work with third-party companies that do that aspect of it. But yes, so we'll do a cleaning before you guys get into the new property.
So make sure to
Absolutely.
ask Michael about all of this stuff.
Yep, and then we'll discuss it and we'll get it all put together for you, and we'll make sure
Wow.
everything's nice and smooth.
Crazy. Okay. Well, again, let everybody know one more time how they
Yeah,
can get a hold
absolutely.
of you.
So just you can contact me directly at 954-647-8301, and then you can also call the office at 954-630-0316.
And again, if you're looking for a top agent, somebody that can help you make sure that the deal stays intact, that you have certified home staging, somebody that has a lot of knowledge, knows how to read a contract, give me a call. Laura Sanders, Remax Direct, 954-650-0827, or you can go to my webpage at lauracell.com. And again, like always, thank you so much for listening to Making Money with Laura Sanders. Till next week.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to